Hello and welcome to Screenwipe. My name's Charlie Brooker. Oh, and it's a program all about television. I should have said that a bit earlier. In real life, most of the time, not much is happening. 24 hours a day. Unless, of course, you work in counter-terrorism, in which case your day looks like this. Sorry, I mean this.
It's coming your way, Jack! Drop the weapon!
The last series of 24 ended with Jack literally aboard a slow boat to China. While he was in captivity, the Chinese treated him appallingly. Every day they punched him in the face at 9 AM, plunged his hands into boiling water at 11:15, and pulled his teeth out at 2:30. 2:30? Did you get 2:30? Oh, f*** off. Anyway, at the start of Series 6, Jack's back after months of incarceration and torture, which left him almost unrecognisable. Jesus Christ! I mean, literally, isn't that Jesus Christ? But this messianic interlude didn't last long. Within the hour, he'd shaved off his beard and recovered sufficiently to reenact some of his favourite scenes from Grand Theft Auto.
Don't get up.
Not to mention high-kicking a suicide bomber out the back of a train. Sadly, that turned out to be an innocent Brazilian plumber. Yes, 24 is now set in a paranoid future America in which the war on terror has firmly come home and everyone seems to spend all their time standing around horrified watching Fox News. It's all the fault of a spectacularly humorless terrorist called Fayed, who's presumably angry at the world because he looks like a bald Dean Gaffney. Guiding the country through this crisis is President Wayne Palmer, perhaps the least plausible commander-in-chief imaginable. I'm not saying the American public wouldn't vote for a black guy, but a black guy with a shaved head and a goatee? Come on. They'd sooner vote for an idiotic, masturbating drunk. A bit like they did last time. Instead, they've got President Bling, who's so slick he always looks like he's about to burst into an R. Kelly number.
Sir, you'd be releasing 110 extremely dangerous terrorists.
Karen, I am very well aware of that.
But I believe I can fly. The camera work is as restless as ever, rarely staying still for more than a nanosecond before flitting off to a light on something else. It's as though they asked the cameraman to replicate the twitching eye movements of a panicking murderer as he desperately searches for somewhere to hide the bloodied trowel. Sometimes it swings around so much even Jack gets motion sickness and has to grab hold of the scenery to stop his head spinning. Part of the fun of 24 has always been the way it unashamedly raises the stakes with each new series, although I think they might have slightly overdone themselves this time.
My fellow Americans, there is no easy way to say the words, America has been hit by a nuclear weapon.
But it's okay, because I believe I can fly. As ever, the plucky gang back at CTU are doing their level best to limit the carnage. There's Chloe, a sulky cartoon duckling who permanently wears the expression of someone opening a Tupperware box full of infected yeast. Then there's her ex-husband, Morris, who, well, he just looks a bit dirty to me. Not unhygienic, but like the sort of person who'd unexpectedly slide a thumb up your arse during sex. Yeah, I don't think she's into it, Morris.
Morris, we're at work. So it's unprofessional.
They say you don't like him.
And there's the boss, Bill Buchanan. Not so much a man as an operating system on legs, he's only got two facial expressions, serious and a bit more serious. Although, ironically, his own face looks like this. In fact, Bill's so tense and sombre, he often looks like he's trying to concentrate on keeping a 5p piece clenched between his bum cheeks, presumably for some sort of bet. Ask Morris, he'll fish it out for you with his teeth. CTU itself is just like any other office. The staff get on each other's tits all the time. In fact, it's a bit like The Office, complete with Stephen Merchant. Anyway, with all the death and horror, 24's starting to look more like a demented work of propaganda than a cheerily dumb action thriller. It tries to have its cake and eat it. On the one hand, they have lots of discussions about the civil rights of all these Muslims they're locking up, and on the other, it crudely depicts a seemingly endless stream of Islamic maniacs hell-bent on destruction. Basically, it's just not as funny as it used to be.
The number of deaths and serious injuries would multiply into the hundreds of thousands.
And besides, they're going to have to invent something even scarier than a nuclear bomb if they want Season 7 to seem in any way exciting. I don't know, something like a genetically engineered race of hornets who swarm up your arse and sting you to death from within. Well, that or maybe just a clown with a massive erection.
It's only February and already this year's seen epoch-shattering landmarks shattering epochs of broadcasting like there's no tomorrow. Let's take a look back. 7th of January, and a heart-stopping episode of Ultimately Random Guessing Game Deal or No Deal saw the £250,000 jackpot hanging in the balance. As the banker rang with his final offer, the tension grew so unbearable the contestant's face started flashing and Noel gave a black power salute out of sheer confusion. As Noel readied himself to ask the golden question, everyone in the studio looked sick with nerves. Except for him, he just looked gormless.
Deal or no deal?
No deal.
I think you are one heck of a gutsy lady.
Oh, come on, she's not that fat. Fortunately, when Noel approached her box for the all-important money shot, the cash was there and joy was unconfined. The other contestants were delighted, even though her victory meant they were statistically less likely to hit the jackpot themselves, the silly, celebrating fools. 15th of January, and Anglia Television's local news programme was briefly rendered 50 times more interesting than usual when a mix-up left the newsreader unaware she was being broadcast live for several minutes. This is the news.
Is this your wife or, Jan?
Man's wife in Jan confusion.
You're always talking to her.
He's always talking to her, claims a spokeswoman. And I think we can go over live now to the scene of the Jan where our special correspondent is... Oh no, actually, tell you what, we'll just rustle around under the desk and open a bottle of water. After several minutes of hair and tit adjustment, normality, and therefore boredom, was resumed.
Good morning, welcome to Anglia News.
January 28th, and white-knuckle motor porn gang show Top Gear thrilled the nation with the long-awaited broadcast of Richard Hammond's high-speed tribute to Mark Bolan. In the accident, Hammond lost both ears and most of the skin Oh no, hang on, wait a minute, that's before the crash. The smash-up itself was eerily reminiscent of the opening titles of The $6 Million Man. Fortunately, the nation's favourite hamster is now completely recovered, although he does have a faint look in his eyes like he's gazed into the darkness of eternity and learned that not only is there no God, there definitely is a Jeremy Clarkson. It's a sorry fact that some forms of artistic expression are seen as inherently better than others. Take ballet, which is essentially just a slow-motion toffee-nosed jig for aristocrats. Or quality fiction, 90% of which is pseudo-intellectual masturbation for people who want to look clever on the tube. Of course, perceptions change. For instance, television was long seen as little more than an animated dustbin until fairly recently, when shows like The Sopranos are taken seriously by many critics as a work of searing intellectual genius.
Oh, look at the way he's lifting that cup. This is a work of searing intellectual genius.
Still, if there's one cultural artefact that don't get enough respect, it's the video game. Yeah, it's okay for film buffs to chunter away about that bit of camera work or this evocation of the mise-en-scene, or for food buffs to detail their year-long quest for the perfect balsamic vinegar. But anyone who discusses video games in any detail whatsoever is automatically branded a sad, spotty, nerdo-geek virgin with the cultural sensibilities of a spoon. Here we see the Newsnight review team failing to have fun with the fun Nintendo Wii.
I hate computing. I've never played computer games before, and hopefully we'll never play them again.
I found it boring.
In the end, a book seems more about the imagination than this.
What, even this book? Anyway, games are better than telly, and here's why.